The first thing I noticed when I woke up wasn't the beeping monitors or the throbbing in my skull. It was my mother counting money at my bedside, her fingers moving through a stack of $100 bills like she was dealing cards at a casino. "She's awake," my father said, not looking up from his phone. He was scrolling through luxury car listings. My throat was dry, my vision blurry, but I managed to croak out, "What are you doing?" My mother tucked the money into her designer purse, one I'd never seen before. "Oh, Serena, honey, how are you feeling? The doctor said the tumor removal went well. You might have some permanent challenges, but at least you're alive."
Permanent challenge.
That's how she described the potential paralysis, the speech difficulties, the months of rehabilitation ahead. I tried to sit up, but my body wouldn't cooperate. The left side felt like dead weight. "The money," I whispered. "Don't worry about that," she said, patting my hand like I was a child. "We took care of everything while you were under. Sold that little house of yours. You won't need it anymore. Not in your condition." My house. The 2-bedroom bungalow I'd bought at 25. Working double shifts as a nurse to save the down payment. The home I'd renovated with my own hands. Where I'd planted a garden. Where I'd built a life independent of them. "You sold my house." My father finally looked at me. "Power of attorney, sweetheart. We knew you'd be too emotional to make rational decisions. The market was perfect. We got 400,000. Don't worry. We'll make sure you're comfortable in a nice facility." A facility. They'd already written me off. Already decided that brain surgery meant the end of my independence. But worse than their casual cruelty was the betrayal. I'd given them power of attorney for medical decisions. Not to liquidate my life. That was illegal. I managed. My mother laughed. A tinkling sound that made my head throb worse. "Oh, Serena. Always so dramatic. We're your parents. We know what's best. Besides, the sale is final. Closed yesterday while you were in recovery." They stayed another 10 minutes discussing their plans for the money. A vacation to Europe. A new car. Investments. They spoke about me like I wasn't there, or worse, like I was already gone. When they finally left, promising to check on me later, I was alone with my rage. The next days blurred together. Doctors, tests, physical therapy. My left side gradually responded, defying their grim predictions. My speech returned clearer each day. But I didn't tell my parents about my progress. Let them think I was helpless. It would make what came next so much sweeter. My friend Jasmine, a real estate attorney, visited on day 5. I texted her weekly and she'd come immediately. When I told her what happened, her face went through several shades of fury. "They forged documents," she said after reviewing everything. "Power of attorney for healthcare doesn't extend to property sales. This is fraud, Serena. Major fraud." "I know," I said. "But I need you to check something else first." I gave her an address. My parents' house. The sprawling colonial where I'd grown up, where they'd hosted dinner parties and looked down on my small ambitions. They'd inherited it from my father's mother. Or so they thought. Jasmine returned the next day with a strange expression. "Serena, this is how long have you known?" "Since I was 18, I admitted. Grandma told me before she died. She never trusted my parents with money. The house was put in a trust with me as the beneficiary when I turned 30. That was 6 months ago. Your parents have been living in your house for 6 months, without knowing it." I nodded, ignoring the pain it caused. Grandma made them think they inherited it free and clear. But the paperwork they signed was just a lease agreement. A very generous rent-free lease that I can terminate at any time for breach of family trust. Grandma was very specific about that clause. Jasmine's grin was sharp. "And selling your house while you were unconscious would definitely qualify as a breach of family trust. Wouldn't it just?" The next 2 weeks were torture, but not from the recovery. I had to pretend to be weak, confused, struggling, while my body healed faster than anyone expected. My parents visited twice more, each time talking about facilities, about how the house money would provide excellent care, about how this was for the best. Meanwhile, Jasmine worked her magic. Fraud charges for the illegal sale, asset freezing to prevent them from spending more of my money, and the crown jewel, an eviction notice for breach of trust, giving them 30 days to vacate the property. I was discharged after 3 weeks, walking out on my own 2 feet. My parents had assumed I'd go straight to a care facility. Instead, I went to a hotel. I needed to be mobile for what came next. The eviction notice was served on a Tuesday. I know because my mother called me 17 times in 1 hour. I didn't answer. My father left voicemails that progressed from confused to angry to panicked. Serena, this is some kind of mistake. Call us back. What the hell is this eviction notice? This is our house. Your grandmother left us this house. You can't do this. We're your parents. After everything we've done for you, Wednesday, they showed up at the hotel. I watched from the lobby as they demanded my room number as security escorted them out. They looked older, friar, like the house had been the only thing keeping them upright. Thursday, Jasmine called. They've hired a lawyer. He reviewed the trust documents and basically told them they're screwed. Your grandmother was thorough. Friday, they tried a different approach. My mother left a tearful voicemail about family, about forgiveness, about how they only sold my house because they loved me and wanted the best care. She didn't mention the European vacation they'd booked with my money. Saturday, I drove past their house, my house, and saw a moving truck outside. They were actually packing. The reality had hit. Sunday, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Serena. My father's voice was different, smaller. We're at the Marriott downtown. Can we talk? I met them in the hotel restaurant. They looked like strangers. My mother, without her perfect makeup. My father in a wrinkled shirt. The money they'd stolen from me couldn't buy them dignity. $300,000, my mother said without preamble. That's what's left from your house sale. We'll give it all back if you let us stay. The house was worth $400,000, I said calmly. We had expenses, my father muttered. The Europe tickets were non-refundable. I laughed. Actually laughed. You spent my money on a vacation while I was learning to walk again. We were stressed. My mother snapped, then caught herself. I mean, we thought you wouldn't need it. Because you thought I'd be a vegetable. They didn't deny it. Couldn't deny it. They'd sold my independence the moment they thought I wouldn't need it anymore. Here's what's going to happen, I said, pulling out a folder. You're going to return every penny, all $400,000. Sell the car, cancel the trips, liquidate whatever you need to. Then you're going to sign this confession admitting to fraud. And you're going to leave town. Leave town? My mother gasped. Or I press charges. Criminal charges. Fraud. Elder abuse. Yes, taking advantage of someone during medical incapacity counts. Identity theft. You'll spend your retirement in prison. You wouldn't, my father said. But his voice shook. I showed them my phone. I have recordings of you admitting to selling my house while I was unconscious. I have the forged documents. I have everything. They signed. Of course, they signed. Bullies always crumble when faced with real consequences. It took them 3 weeks to gather the money. They sold their cars, liquidated their retirement accounts, borrowed from relatives. Every penny of my $400,000 came back, plus another $50,000 in damages to avoid prosecution. The house, my grandmother's house, my house, stood empty after they left. I had it professionally cleaned. Sage burned in every room to clear their energy. Then I did something that would have made Grandma proud. I converted it into a transition home for people recovering from brain injuries. People whose families had abandoned them, written them off, decided they were better off in facilities. The opening was last month. My parents weren't invited, but they heard about it. Everyone in town heard about it. My mother sent one last message. How could you do this to your own parents? I typed back, the same way you did it to your own daughter, except I waited until you were conscious. She never responded. I heard they moved to Florida, living in a one-bedroom apartment, working retail to make ends meet. Sometimes I feel a flicker of guilt. Then I remember waking up to her counting my money. Remember them planning my funeral while I was still breathing. Remember the words, "You won't need it anymore." The truth is, they were right about one thing. I didn't need that little bungalow anymore. I needed something bigger. Something that could hold all the people they'd written off. All the dreams they tried to steal. My grandmother's house. My house now shelters 12 residents at a time. We have physical therapy equipment, art therapy rooms, a garden where people relearn to hold tools and plant seeds. Above the front door, there's a plaque. The Eleanor Hayes House for Second Chances. Eleanor was my grandmother's name. She always believed in second chances, just not third ones. My parents had used up their second chance long before they sold my house. What they did while I was unconscious was just the final proof that some people don't deserve forgiveness. They deserve consequences. Last week, I got a call from a woman whose family tried to sell her condo while she was in a coma. I gave her Jasmine's number and offered her a room at Eleanor House. "How do you live with it?" she asked. "Knowing your family betrayed you like that." I thought about it. You don't live with it. You live despite it. And then you make sure it never happens to anyone else. She moved in yesterday. Room 3, overlooking the garden. The same room where my parents once planned their dinner parties. Now housing someone they would have thrown away. My brain surgery scar has faded to a thin white line. Sometimes I trace it remembering. Not the pain or the fear, but the moment I realized I was stronger than the people who raised me. The moment I decided that if they wanted to bury me, they better make sure I was actually dead first. They didn't. And now I own the ground they used to stand,